Selling a property in Spain is a maze. You need to know all the ins and outs, the process, what to do, but most importantly, what not to do. And today, in this Costa Insight, we're gonna dive deep with our in-house expert. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Right guys, welcome back to Costa Insights. Yuri.
Hi guys.
It's your first time on Costa Insights.
Yes, exciting.
So Yuri, for all the people that are watching this, it's the first time we have you on Costa Insights, and we decided to talk about selling property.
Yeah.
So you are our High Homes listing manager. So you take care of everything that has to do with vendors, the process of selling. And the whole sort of goal in this video is for people that are watching this, and there are people that might own property all over Spain, right? The idea is to talk about, you know, the different steps in selling a property, everything the vendor needs to know essentially, and give them sort of a roadmap or North Star. So when they're, you know, when they decide to make that step, that they make the right one.
Yeah.
So Yuri, let's start with the basics. Like, if someone comes to you as a listing manager, what's the first thing they need to do when selling a property?
So normally, depending if it's a phone call or if they walk into the office, I would sit down with them, understand what is it they want to achieve, when do they want to sell. And from there, obviously, the main thing for me is to go out and visit the property, to see where is the property, what conditions is the property in, what area. Is it an area there is a high demand? It is an area that maybe it's not, you know, as high. And then from there, we would go a little bit into paperwork. So on the paperwork side, I would always request the documentation that for me is very important to have. Okay, that's a perfect moment to talk about documents. So let's list the documents. Let's do a list of the documents. So the first document that I normally ask for is the nota simple. The nota simple is a certificate of ownership. So you have all the information about the property. This is from square meter to debts, you know, very important. If there is any debts on the property, if maybe there is a mortgage. And from there, I can obviously take all this information to help me towards the evaluation, which we will talk about also. Apart from that, we need to understand what is the costs of the property, how much it costs the owner running it. There it would be the IBI. So IBI is the yearly tax.
Yuri, that's a real Spanish word. So Spanish people have very big, long words, and they have to, you know, sort of compact it or, you know, compress it. What's IBI stand for?
So IBI is Impuesto de Bienes de Inmuebles.
Impuesto de Bienes Inmuebles. There you go, learning Spanish with High Homes.
But I think for a seller, when you hear it the first time, you know, it sounds a bit different, but you will hear it once, you hear it twice, and you hear it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually, you will be saying IBI.
Absolutely right.
Apart from the IBI, there is also the yearly basura. So basura, it's also a Spanish word that means garbage. So your yearly garbage, you also pay for. And apart from that, we have all the same, you know, costs, which is the electric. We like to have an understanding also to inform the buyers how much they will be paying. Obviously, it depends on the consume, but how much they will be paying eventually for the electricity, for the water, how much does the Wi-Fi cost. So these are the main documentations, and then obviously also the deeds of the property. And then also it's important to understand the electric efficiency of the property. So that is a CEE, Certificado Energético. That just shows us what consume the property has on the energy efficiency.
You know, it's funny because like a few years ago, the energy efficiency was not, you know, was not obligatory, and today it is. I think it was like 12 years ago they made the Certificado de Eficiencia Energético obligatory when it comes to signing deeds. And by, I don't know if you know this, but by 2035 or by 2032, properties under the qualification of F will not be able to be either sold or rented, which is super interesting.
Which is very important also to know, because I bought a property last year and the efficiency was not very good. It was an F, and I dived a little bit into it to understand. And there it comes, in a few years they might change it. So if you look to sell that property in the future, you might need to, you know, improve a little bit to go a little bit higher up.
That's a pro tip for buyers. You know, if you're thinking of selling in 10 years, you're going to need to have a CE, so you're going to have to improve the property for it to be more energy efficiency.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so
these are the papers. That's what we will need in order to understand what costs are, what type of property, how many square meters does it have, to be able to inform that for the buyers.
Okay, so we sort of, set the scene. These are the documents you need before, for example, any agent, comes to visit you and have a look at the property. Now, actually, like, obviously, every property is a world, but how do you set pricing, Yuri? How do you, how does that work?
So that is a very good question, and for me, it's one of the most important part of the selling process is putting the right price. Because at the moment in Spain, there is obviously a big demand and low supply. So we don't have a lot of property, but we have a lot of people wanting to buy a property. Putting the right price for me, it's so important because that will decide if your property will sell or not. And going back to what we just said, I would go out and see the property, obviously the area, what is the demand in the area, how quickly are the properties selling in the area.
Super important.
And then I will do what we call a blind evaluation. So it's basically just going into the property fully blind, just take the square meters that we have in there, times up with what the property is worth, and I'll start from there. But that's not enough. You want that up if you just take the square meter price and times that with the value.
Very interesting. The blind valuation is the way we value property at High Homes and how top agencies value property. Can you sort of give us the formula?
Yeah, so the formula would be starting from there, the blind evaluation, but then we will do the pros contra the handicaps. So the good things about the property and the handicaps which is not as good.
So what could be a handicap for people?
So a handicap could be, for example, if you have a property that have some road noise, that is a handicap. Not everyone likes, the noise from the road. It could be it's not facing the right direction. It could be that it doesn't have, it's not being renewed. It's an older property that you need to spend some money into.
Yeah.
And the pros could be, the state of the property is brilliant. You've installed a new kitchen. You have orientation south. You have sea views. So we need to put a balance on that in order to come back to the price and adjust it.
Okay, so what has happened in recent years and sometimes is, agent will give a vendor evaluation, right? Some people start higher, some people want to start, sort of a bit higher, see if someone will pay a bit more. Some people want to start at, the agent's valuation, and other people want to start slightly below to sell faster.
Yeah.
What's your view on pricing? So imagine we have a valuation, right? What do you recommend vendors to do?
So the way I normally do is I tell the clients I like to give a price range. The reason I like to give a price range is because I can give the vendor 3 different scenarios. So the first scenario would be if you want the property to be sold quickly, I will price it at X. I would recommend pricing it at this price. If you want to sell the property, if you want it to go a little bit quicker, I would recommend you to price it a little bit higher. And if you want to try the market a little bit and then go adjusting according to what feedback we get back from the clients, then we would put it a little bit higher. So it's 3 different prices. A little bit lower, the right price, and a little bit more expensive to see what we get back.
And normally people always go to the higher price.
Yes.
It's like a natural thing.
Yes.
It's like, let's give it a try. And then normally they'll be calling you in a month going, hey, what's going on?
What's happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to what I said earlier. The price will definitely, decide how quickly you will get a sale.
So, okay, we've walked through the scenarios, right? You've got the documents, then you've done a market evaluation, which we just talked about. Talk about marketing materials. Like, what should vendors be sort of doing? What should they be requesting from their agent or agency? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the first thing and the most important is the price, but I think that the marketing is as important as that, because the marketing will decide how your property will be shown out there to the buyers. I think a standard here should be that the agents take some very good pictures of the property, because that's the first thing a buyer sitting anywhere in Europe, in the US, and South of America, they will see. Floor plans are really important because many people want to understand
the layout,
how the property is on the inside. What is the layout?
Actually, it's completely right, because if I look at like some listings on Lista, like not to fault like colleagues in the business, but some people use iPhones to take photos, and obviously iPhones do great selfies and stuff, but they're not really for properties. No. I mean, like you need to be what you're saying is do professional photography, right?
To give it the maximum potential, so people can actually see, this is how the property looks like. An iPhone camera is not the same as a professional camera.
100%. Yeah,
So-
you need to invest in your marketing material.
Definitely, that is so important.
So that's the minimum. What can you do to go the extra mile? What do you do with our high homes clients?
So normally what I do, I offer our clients professional photography. At the day, we have a photographer in-house that go out and take all the pictures. She doesn't only take pictures a day, she takes also pictures what we call twilight. So it's when the sun is going down.
It's my favorite pictures.
Yes, and this is what I feel like people out there looking for property should see.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the best parts of the day. When the sun goes down and you just, have this beautiful twilight.
Yeah, it's more of a lifestyle. Like people can really feel like, people can project themselves in the property.
Exactly, yeah. And she puts a lot of effort into it because, you need to go there for, let's say, 5:30 to take the day pictures. And she would wait there until night just to get this picture, which I think is really, really important.
And for people that don't know this, there's only a very small amount of time you have to do twilight photos.
Yes.
It's like only like 20 minutes before it
very
goes completely
quickly.
black. Because there's not night photos, which are black, it's twilight photos.
Yeah.
We'll put a few examples on.
We have very good examples.
Yeah.
Apart from the pictures, day and night, what I also like to do is taking a video of the property. So you can literally walk through the property and see it, with the camera eyes as if you are there. The floor plans, I always ask sellers to give me a floor plan. If they don't have that, I can help making one. And also for some vendors, we do a walk-in video on the property and put it on our channel, on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. I'm really proud of our marketing. Like our marketing rocks. Anyway.
It really does.
Back to sort of seller advice, right? So basically the advice for vendors is get your agency, wherever you are in Spain, get your agency to do good quality photography.
Yes.
Get them to do good photos, like iPhone photos do not work. Get a floor plan minimum. So once they've done all of that, the next point is exposure.
Yes.
Right? So what do you think are, the minimum standard of exposure? Where should properties be listed on, in terms of portals, online? Where should a vendor expect to see their property for maximum results?
Another place that is very important also to put the property is in our portal, MLS portal here in Costa del Sol, where we basically agents, we share our listings. So if we, for example, have a property and there is a client in Marbella looking with another agent, this agent can go in and find the property and offer that to their client. And then we share the commission. I think also what is very important for agents out there is to have a very good web page that is, integrated with a good SEO, have a good exposure with Meta, with Instagram, because nowadays, we get so much publicity on Facebook, on Instagram, that if you don't have that, you're not giving the property the right exposure.
Yuri, for many years, and actually from the beginning of High Homes, I was the only one and only member of the team when we first started, and I was mainly working on listings, right? And what I would tell, vendors out there, and just for them to picture it, and we say exactly the same, with yourself, we say this to vendors today as well, is just to explain to them how exposure works. And this is a very good, easy funnel explanation. It's like, if what you need to have is 100 people showing interest, and this 100 people will be showing interest because of, obviously website exposure, portals, MLSs, right? From those 100 people, 10 people show up and see the property, and then one person makes the offer, right? So like, a very easy way to explain to vendors, listen to this right now, is like, if you don't get 100 people looking at your property, it could be a problem with, the marketing material. If you get, 10 people viewing it, but no offers, it could be a handicap with your property.
Yeah.
So I would say like the easiest way for vendors to understand is like the 110-1. 100 people seeing your property online, exposure, 10 people viewing it, one person buying it, right?
Yeah.
Our audience now understands documents they need to provide, they understand valuation, they understand how exposure works and marketing materials with sort of the funnel analogy, which we just shared. How long do you think, a property should be on the market? What's normal? I mean, that's the big golden question, right?
Yeah. So I wish there was normal. There is no normal in today's market. It can be so different. It can take days, it can take weeks, and it can take months. We have in High Homes, recently had a case where the property has been on the market for literally one day and had a phone call I spoke with the client. The client is literally living around the corner, seeing properties in that urbanization for 1-2 years, and just waiting for that right property to just come out for them, to decide. So actually on the phone call, I could just hear, this is the case, let's go and see it. He saw it, he made an offer, the property was sold. But it can also take weeks, it can take months. It's very different. It depends on the area, it depends on the demand, it depends on the type of the property, and it also depends on the price. But I would say normally with the property at the right price in an okay location, up to 3-4 months, I would say. Okay. And it can go quicker.
So would you say then that after 4 months there might be a cause of concern? So let's say 4 to 6 months. Let's say what do you normally tell vendors? Like what needs to be visited?
Yeah. So in my role, for me, the most important thing is to get the vendors, the best price possible. But sometimes it needs adjustment. So for example, if you have a property that has been sitting in the market for 3, 4, 5 months, and we have not many viewings, not many people interested, I need to sit down, look at the property, look through the reports, how many viewings had this property had, how many people have seen it, how many people have favored. We have different ways to calculate. And from there, I will then speak to the owner, so the owner understands what is going on, and together we will figure out what is it we need to do.
Yeah, so basically listening to actual live feedback from buyers that have been, walking through the property and then implementing, right?
Correct.
Because I mean, there's either, there's a few things that can go wrong. I mean, obviously, if you don't have enough viewings, it could be that your price is totally wrong. It could be that the agent you're working with hasn't got the right exposure, right? But then if you are getting the viewings and you're still not selling it, it's because something's wrong with the property and you haven't addressed the handicap.
Yes.
That's normally what we say. Would you agree?
Correct.
So Yuri, we've sort of gone through the weeds of it. Now property's on the market, we're having viewings. Talk to us about property preparation and presentation. How do you perform viewings? What's important for people to keep in mind? Yeah,
so when I go for a viewing, I take my time. I make sure that I am at the property, half an hour, 40 minutes before, because we all know first look matters. I open up the property, I make sure, the lights are on, I make sure that the properties get seen, as it actually is. I also ask if the vendors are here, I ask them if they could go and take a coffee or do something else, because buyers would like to position themselves and see themselves in the house that they eventually are going to be in.
Yeah, that's a pro tip, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a pro tip. Vendors, you sort of move away, let buyers move through so they can project themselves.
Correct. Yeah, and then obviously, as a buyer, it's a big step. It's buying a property. It's something that you cannot just buy and return. So they will have many, many questions. The reason I always work so, close with the vendor is also to understand everything about the property, which nobody knows better than a seller. They have questions about, what the costs are, what could they eventually do into the property, how is the neighborhood, who are the neighbors. Some people really like to know that because they're going to be using that property, as their main residence. I think that are the normal important things that I do.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be answering the questions the buyer wants and making sure that during the viewing that they are well sort of taken care of.
Yes.
I mean, it's super important. It's not just you can be a great marketeer and you can be very good at marketing properties as an agent, but you also need to be a very good agent face to face, right?
Correct.
And then that's something that I think like some agents excel at certain things and other agents excel at others, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so perfect time you need to talk about offers and negotiation. So you get the buyers through the door, you're with them right there and they want to buy the property. How do you handle negotiation? Well, how should a vendor handle negotiation?
It depends a little bit on what we want to achieve. Do we want to sell the property quickly and we have put this property at the selling price? There should be no space for offers. We should be as close to the asking price as possible.
Good.
If there is offers and the offers are quite substantial, it can mean is because either the house needs some improvements, they want to spend some money on it, or it's been priced a little bit too high.
So imagine you get a buyer and a vendor to agree. What's like the next priority for a vendor? The moment you have a buyer and a vendor agreeing on a price, what's important now?
So the next step here would be for them to secure the property, take it off the market, That's where we would ask the buyers to put down a reservation. And as soon as we have the reservation, the property will be fully off the market. And a very good tip here is also to do inventory as soon as possible. So there is no misunderstanding. So we are clear on this is what is included with the sale.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's happened to me many times,
Yes.
where, you know, a vendor and a buyer agree on a price, and the vendor says, yes, it's sold, completely furnished, and then comes to do an inventory, and the vendor goes, yeah, but that sofa, that's a personal item. You know, like it was gifted to me by my great grandma, and it's, you know, 1 out of 10 collection. So, well, no, obviously that should have been furniture. So I think your tip is really important. Like, make an inventory. There's no misunderstandings. Preferably a photographic inventory, and then everyone knows what they're doing.
Correct. We always do a photographic one, and we make sure we speak with the sellers and with the buyers, and they both understand what's included and what's not included. Because furniture-wise, normally that is, you know, most of the furniture, but everyone has their personal belongings, which they want to bring with them. Something also that is very important is to define what is going to be the timeline. How long will it take from today, where we have paid the reservation, until we can go to the notary? That's very important to communicate both ways, so it makes sense for the seller, but also for the buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's many times where someone might make an offer and try to buy a property at a certain price, they pay a reservation, and they haven't defined how long they need a mortgage, and the vendor starts getting sort of upset because, you know, timeline's not being respected or timeline hasn't been established.
Yeah.
So clear communication is key, you know?
Yes.
The big difference, like, you know, the big difference in Spain between buying a resale property and new build is that these resale transactions between a vendor and a buyer are they're between people. So it can be an emotionally charged situation.
Absolutely.
And if you define offer, you define timeline, you define inventory, you define everything, it just allows for less misunderstanding, right? And that's like pro tip. We're just giving these pro tips out today.
Correct.
So, Yuri, I think we've done a great wrap of what vendors need to know when selling in Spain. If we had to like give them top tips from a listing manager, you know, like yourself, with the experience you have, what would be your top tips for the person that's about to sell their property?
So in my opinion, if we have to take the best 3 tips, I would say the price. It's very important to put the right price at the property. The marketing, you should always, you know, go beyond with, because this is what the clients out there that is looking to buy this property is looking for good pictures, for good videos, all that we have talked about. And the third one is to find a good local agent that, you know, has been there for a while, has a good reputation, for them to take care of your property.
Perfect. Man, that's a perfect wrap. That's amazing. Yuri, thank you so much, man. It's been great to have you on the channel. It's our first vendor content, so I'm actually very interested to hear what you guys have to say about this video. So for you guys that are watching this, please like this video if you found this useful. If you have any questions for Yuri or for myself, don't feel afraid to comment those below. And is there anything that you think we've missed? Well, if there is, comment those below as well. And for those of you which are new to this space, well, welcome to High Homes. On this channel, we keep you guys posted with everything regarding Spanish real estate, property in Spain, Costa del Sol lifestyle, and much more. So don't be shy, press that button and subscribe to the High Homes YouTube channel. That's it, guys.
Hasta luego.
Ciao, ciao.